Story 1. I've always been a devoted cat parent. Some might say overly devoted, but I prefer the term appropriately attentive. My chunky orange tabby came into my life 3 years ago when I found him as a skinny, scared stray hiding under my porch during a thunderstorm. After a vet visit confirmed he had no microchip and was in rough shape from life on the streets, I decided to give him a forever home. I named him Sir Fluffington in my head, but mostly just called him Fluff. From day one, I made the decision to keep Fluff as an indoor-only cat. The vet strongly recommended it given the busy road near my house, local coyotes, and the fact that outdoor cats live significantly shorter lives. Plus, after his rough start, I wanted to give him the safest, most comfortable life possible. And comfortable it was. I splurged on premium cat food, a water fountain because His Majesty preferred running water, more toys than any single cat could need, and eventually I spent an entire weekend building him a floor-to-ceiling cat tree that took up a significant portion of my living room. It had multiple platforms, hiding spots, scratching posts, and a big cushioned bed at the top where he could survey his domain. Fluff went from a scrawny stray to a plump, glossy furred house king who spent his days napping in sunbeams and demanding treats. The trouble began about 6 months ago when a new neighbor moved into the house next door. She seemed pleasant enough initially, introducing herself with a plate of cookies and chatting about the neighborhood. During that first conversation, she mentioned having outdoor cats at her previous home and asked about the local cats. "Woman, I haven't seen any cats around here. Do people in this neighborhood keep pets?" Me, "Oh yes, quite a few. My cat Fluff is indoor only though, so you won't see him roaming around." She frowned slightly at this. Woman, indoor only? Doesn't he want to go outside? Me, he seems perfectly content indoors. He was a stray before I adopted him, so he's had enough outdoor time for one lifetime. Woman, that doesn't seem natural. Cats need to be outside. They need to hunt and explore. I explained about the dangers in our area and how indoor cats live longer, healthier lives, but I could tell she wasn't convinced. I didn't think much of it at the time. People have different opinions about pet care, and I was confident in my choices. Over the next few weeks, I occasionally caught her watching my house from her yard or window. Once or twice, she tried to engage me in more conversations about Fluff when I was coming or going. Each time, she'd make comments about how sad it was that he couldn't enjoy the outdoors. Woman, don't you think he looks longingly out the window? Cats are meant to be free. Me, he actually seems more terrified than longing when he sees the outside. He had a rough time as a stray. Woman, you're just projecting. Cats are natural hunters. It's cruel to keep them cooped up. I tried to be polite, but firm that Fluff was my cat and his veterinarian approved of his lifestyle. Still, these interactions left me feeling annoyed. Who was she to judge how I cared for my pet? One afternoon, I came home from work to find a pamphlet slipped under my door about enrichment for indoor cats. I had a pretty good idea where it came from but chose to ignore it. A few days later, things escalated. I was working from home when I heard a knock at the door. When I opened it, I found myself face to face with an animal control officer. "Officer, good afternoon. I'm Officer Rodriguez from County Animal Control. We received a complaint about a cat being kept in inadequate conditions at this address." I was stunned. Me, a complaint? About my cat? Officer, yes. The report claims you're keeping a cat imprisoned inside without proper stimulation or care, and that the animal appears neglected and possibly underweight. I almost laughed at the underweight part. If anything, the vet had suggested that Fluff could stand to lose a pound or two. Me, that's completely false. My cat is very well cared for. Would you like to come in and see for yourself? The officer nodded, and I led him inside. As if on cue, Fluff sauntered into the entryway, belly swinging slightly with each step. He surveyed the stranger with mild interest before deciding the officer wasn't worth his time and heading to his cat tree, where he gracefully jumped up to his favorite perch and began grooming himself. The officer took one look at Fluff Plump, with a shiny coat, lounging in his custom cat paradise, and his professional demeanor cracked with a small smile. "Officer, this is the neglected cat." "Me, that's him. Sir Fluffington, formerly of the streets, now lord of the manor." I showed the officer around, pointing out Fluff's automatic feeder, his water fountain, his toy collection, and the cat shelves I'd installed along one wall to give him more vertical space. I also showed him Fluff's clean litter boxes. Yes, plural, he had one upstairs and one downstairs for his convenience. "Officer, I've seen enough. This is clearly a well-cared-for animal. In fact, this is one of the most pampered cats I've encountered on a welfare check." As we walked back to the front door, I decided to ask about the complaint. "Me, do you know who reported this?" "Officer, we keep complainants confidential, but I can tell you it came from a neighbor who claimed to regularly observe the cat looking distressed at the windows and believed it was being mistreated by being denied outdoor access. It wasn't hard to figure out who that was." "Officer, for what it's worth, keeping cats indoors is recommended by most veterinarians and animal welfare organizations these days. Outdoor cats face traffic, predators, diseases, and tend to have significantly shorter lifespans, not to mention the impact on local wildlife." As the officer was preparing to leave, we heard an agitated voice from outside. "Woman, did you find the poor thing? Is he being rescued?" My neighbor was standing at the edge of my property, trying to peer inside. The officer stepped outside, and I followed. "Officer, ma'am, are you the one who made the complaint?" "Woman, yes, this cat is being kept prisoner. It's animal abuse to keep a cat locked up inside all day. They need fresh air and freedom." "Officer, I've just completed my inspection, and I can assure you the cat is in excellent condition. More than excellent, actually." "Woman, but it's unnatural. Cats need to be outside. My cat's always roamed free." "Officer, ma'am, indoor cats typically live 10-15 years longer than outdoor cats. The cat has food, water, medical care, enrichment, and a safe environment. There is absolutely no neglect or abuse happening here." "Woman, so you're not going to do anything? What kind of animal control officer are you?" The officer's professional demeanor remained intact, but I could see his patience wearing thin. "Officer, actually, I am going to do something. I'm going to issue a warning to you." "Woman, to me? For what?" "Officer, for filing a false report. We take animal welfare seriously, and our resources are limited. When people file complaints like this, it takes time away from animals that are actually in distress." "Woman, but..." "Officer, additionally, harassing your neighbor about their pet care choices could potentially be considered a form of neighbor harassment. I'd suggest you focus on your own pets and property." The woman's face turned an impressive shade of red. She sputtered something about just trying to help the poor creature before storming back to her house. The officer turned to me with an apologetic look. "Officer, sorry about this. Unfortunately, we get these kinds of calls sometimes. People have strong opinions about pet care. Me, I appreciate you taking it seriously, even if it turned out to be nothing." "Officer, that's our job. But between you and me, your cat has a better setup than some people I know." After the officer left, I went back inside to find Fluff still in his cat tree, now stretched out on his back with his paws in the air, the picture of feline contentment. I gave him some extra treats and scratches behind the ears. "Me, hear that, buddy? You're officially the most spoiled cat on the block. The government has confirmed it." A few days later, I received a polite letter from Animal Control explaining that they had issued a fine to my neighbor for misuse of emergency services and making a false report. The letter also included a special note that the investigating officer had been impressed by the exemplary care and enrichment provided for the feline resident. I made a copy of that letter and kept it by the front door, just in case my neighbor decided to make any more comments about my cat parenting choices. Fluff, of course, remained completely oblivious to the whole drama. His only concerns continued to be when his next meal would arrive, which sunny spot was optimal for napping, and ensuring his collection of toy mice was properly scattered across every floor of the house. To this day, my neighbor still gives me dirty looks when we cross paths, but she hasn't made any more comments about Fluff, and Fluff continues to live his best indoor life, fat and happy, far from the dangers of the street where I found him. Story 2. I hate the Department of Motor Vehicles. Everyone does. But when your license is about to expire, you don't have much choice. So there I was, ticket number 147 in my hand, watching as they served number 93. I'd already been waiting for an hour and a half, and from the looks of it, I had at least another hour to go. The DMV in our town is notoriously slow. It's understaffed, outdated, and always packed. I'd tried coming early, arriving 15 minutes before they opened, but apparently everyone else had the same idea. The line had already wrapped around the building by the time I got there. I'm a high school history teacher, and it was the first day of summer break. I'd intentionally saved this dreaded errand for today, thinking I'd have all the time in the world. What I didn't have was the patience for what I was about to witness. The waiting area was filled with the usual suspects: tired parents with restless children, elderly folks clutching paperwork with confused expressions, teenagers excited to get their first licenses, and working people like me, trying to squeeze in this bureaucratic necessity during precious time off. Everyone looked equally miserable, bonded in our shared DMV purgatory. I was sitting next to an elderly man who had to be in his mid-80s. He was thin, with a cane propped between his knees, and he kept checking his ticket every few minutes as if the number might magically change. His ticket read 146, just one before mine. "First time renewing your license?" I asked, trying to make conversation to pass the time. Elderly man: "Oh no, young man, I've been driving since 1955. But this might be my last time. My eyes aren't what they used to be. My daughter thinks I should stop driving altogether, but I'm not ready to give up my independence just yet." His name was called just as he finished telling me about his grandchildren. He collected his cane and papers and slowly made his way to counter number 3. I was up next, so I gathered my own documents, ready to move when they called 147. That's when she walked in. She wasn't particularly remarkable at first glance: mid-40s, expensive-looking handbag, sunglasses pushed up on her head despite being indoors. But her expression was one I recognized immediately from my years of parent-teacher conferences. It was the look of someone who believed rules were for other people. She scanned the room once, noted the crowded waiting area, and her face pinched with annoyance. Instead of taking a ticket from the machine by the door, she walked directly to the front of the room, bypassing everyone who had been waiting for hours. The elderly man was still at counter 3, carefully sorting through his paperwork with the DMV employee. The woman stopped behind him, tapping her foot impatiently. When he didn't immediately notice her, she cleared her throat loudly, twice. He turned slightly, seemingly confused by her presence so close behind him. The woman: "Excuse me, I just need to renew my license. It's a simple procedure. I'm in a rush." The elderly man blinked in surprise. "Elderly man, I'm sorry, but I'm currently being helped. There's a ticket system." The woman: "I don't have time for tickets. My husband is waiting in the car, and I have an important lunch meeting in half an hour. Surely you can let me go first? It will only take a minute." The DMV employee, a tired-looking woman with graying hair, spoke up. DMV employee: "Ma'am, you need to take a number like everyone else. This gentleman is being served now." The woman: "Do you know who I am? I don't think you understand. I don't have time to wait with all these people. My renewal is simple: just take my picture and print the license." By this point, everyone in the waiting area was watching. I could feel the collective irritation rising. We'd all been waiting our turn, some for hours. DMV employee: "Ma'am, please take a number and wait to be called." Instead of complying, the woman did something that left the room in stunned silence. She placed her hand on the elderly man's shoulder and physically pushed him aside, causing him to stumble. His cane clattered to the floor, and he would have fallen if the DMV employee hadn't quickly reached across the counter to steady him. I was out of my seat in an instant, as were several others. But the security guard stationed by the door was faster. He was at counter 3 before any of us could intervene. Security guard, "Ma'am, I need you to step back immediately." The woman, "I'm just trying to get my license renewed. This is ridiculous. I've been a taxpayer in this county for 15 years, and this is how I'm treated." Security guard, "You just assaulted that gentleman. Please step aside." The elderly man had recovered his balance and was leaning against the counter, looking shaken. Another DMV employee had come around to help him to a chair and retrieve his cane. The woman, "I barely touched him. He was taking forever, and I have places to be. This is a public office, and I demand service." Her voice had risen to a shout, and now everyone was staring openly. The security guard's hand moved to his radio. Security guard, "Ma'am, I need to see some identification, please." The woman, "That's what I'm here for. My license is expired, and I need a new one. If you people would just do your jobs instead of making me wait." Security guard, "ID, please, now." Something in his tone must have finally gotten through to her because she huffed dramatically and dug through her purse, pulling out an expired driver's license. The security guard took it and stepped aside to speak into his radio. I couldn't hear what he was saying, but he kept glancing at her as he talked. Meanwhile, the elderly man was being attended to by the staff. Someone had brought him a cup of water, and he was assuring everyone he was fine, just startled. I walked over to check on him. "Are you okay, sir?" I asked. Elderly man, yes. Just got caught off guard. No harm done." But there was harm done. The woman had put hands on an elderly person, potentially causing injury, all because she thought her time was more valuable than his. My blood was boiling, but I kept my cool for the old man's sake. The security guard returned, his expression now deadly serious. Another guard had appeared at the entrance. Security guard, "Ma'am, I need you to come with me." The woman, "Why? I just need my license renewed. This is absurd." Security guard, "We ran your ID. You have 2 outstanding warrants in this county." The room went silent. You could have heard a pin drop. Her face drained of color. The woman, "That's impossible. There must be some mistake." Security guard, "No mistake, ma'am. One for unpaid traffic violations and another for missing a court date. Please come with me." The woman, "This is outrageous. I'm calling my husband. He's a lawyer. You can't do this." But her protests fell on deaf ears. The security guard was already gently, but firmly taking her by the elbow, guiding her toward the exit where a police officer had now appeared. The woman, "Let go of me. Do you know who my husband is? You'll all be sorry for this." Her threats grew more desperate as the officer approached, but they didn't stop him from reading her rights and placing handcuffs on her wrists. The entire DMV watched in silence as she was escorted out, still shouting about lawsuits and important connections. As the door closed behind them, someone in the back of the room started slow clapping. Others joined in until the whole waiting area was applauding. The tension broke, and people returned to their various states of boredom and frustration. But now with a shared story to tell when they got home. The DMV supervisor approached the elderly man, who was now back on his feet and seemingly recovered from the incident. Supervisor, "Sir, we're so sorry about what happened. We're going to process your license right away, and we'll waive the renewal fee." Elderly man, "That's very kind of you, but not necessary. I'm fine, really." The supervisor insisted, and the elderly man was escorted back to counter 3 to complete his transaction. When he finished, he walked past me toward the exit. Elderly man, "Quite the excitement for a Tuesday at the DMV, eh?" I smiled. Never a dull moment. Number 147 was called shortly after, and I took my place at counter 4. As the employee processed my renewal, I couldn't help but ask about what had happened. "Those warrants," I said quietly. "Were they serious?" DMV employee, "Let's just say she won't be driving anywhere for quite a while. The traffic violations were one thing, but skipping court dates? That's how you end up leaving the DMV in handcuffs instead of with a new license. I left the DMV 2 hours after I arrived, with a brand new license and a story I couldn't wait to tell. Sometimes karma works so perfectly it almost seems scripted. And sometimes the line you try to cut is the line that leads straight to the back of a police car. As for the elderly man, I saw him in the parking lot being picked up by a middle-aged woman I assumed was his daughter. He was animatedly telling her a story, gesturing with his cane. From the look on her face, I guessed he was recounting his DMV adventure. Some stories are just too good not to share. And this was definitely one of them. Story 3. Let me start from the beginning. 2 years ago, I was diagnosed with a herniated disc in my lower back after months of debilitating pain. I'd tried everything: physical therapy, pain management, steroid injections, but nothing provided long-term relief. Finally, my neurosurgeon recommended a minimally invasive procedure that had a high success rate for cases like mine. After jumping through all the insurance hoops, getting second opinions, and scheduling time off work, I was set for surgery at Memorial Hospital downtown. The procedure wasn't cheap, even with insurance covering most of it. My out-of-pocket expenses would be around $3,000, which I'd been saving for months. The day before my scheduled surgery, I received a confirmation call from the hospital. Hospital staff: "Hello, this is Memorial Hospital calling to confirm your appointment tomorrow at 5:30 and for your 7:30 am procedure. Please remember to bring your insurance card, Idaho, and a list of current medications." Me: "Yes, I'll be there. Thank you for the reminder." Hospital staff: "Great. Oh, and one more thing, there seems to be a note here about a previous visit. Did you come in yesterday for pre-op?" Me: "No, I had my pre-op last week. I haven't been to the hospital since then." Hospital staff: "That's strange. Let me check. You're right, your pre-op was completed last Wednesday. Sorry for the confusion. See you tomorrow morning." I didn't think much of it at the time. Hospitals deal with hundreds of patients, so mix-ups happen. I set my alarm for 4:30 am and went to bed early. The next morning, I arrived at the hospital right on time. The surgical center was quiet at that hour, with just a few other patients checking in for early procedures. I approached the reception desk, where a middle-aged woman with glasses was typing at a computer. Me: "Good morning. I'm here for my 7:30 procedure with Dr. Williams." The receptionist looked up, her fingers pausing over the keyboard. Something flickered across her face: confusion, then concern. "Receptionist, your name, please." I told her my name and date of birth. She typed something, then frowned at her screen. Receptionist: "And you're here for the L4 L5 microdiscectomy." Me: "Yes, that's right." She glanced over my shoulder toward the waiting area, then back at her computer. Receptionist: "Could I see your ID and insurance card, please?" I handed them over, noticing she was studying my ID photo with unusual intensity. Receptionist: "Just one moment. I need to check something with my supervisor." She picked up the phone, turning slightly away from me as she spoke in a hushed tone. I couldn't make out what she was saying, but she kept glancing at me and then toward the waiting area. After hanging up, she smiled at me a bit too brightly. Receptionist: "Everything looks fine. Please have a seat, and someone will be with you shortly to take you back for prep." I sat down in the waiting area, pulling out my phone to text my friend who would be driving me home after surgery. That's when I noticed a woman sitting in the corner, staring intently at the exit door. She was about my age and build, with similar hair color. Though hers was clearly dyed, she kept checking her watch and shifting in her seat. About 5 minutes later, 2 security guards and a woman in a business suit entered the waiting area. They walked directly to the nervous woman in the corner. Hospital administrator: "Ma'am, we need you to come with us, please." Woman: "What? Why? I'm waiting for my appointment." Hospital administrator: "There seems to be an issue with your paperwork. If you could just step into the office, we can sort it out." The woman stood up, clutching her purse tightly. "Woman, this is ridiculous. I've been waiting here for over an hour." As they led her away, the receptionist approached me. "Receptionist, the surgical coordinator would like to speak with you in her office. Don't worry about your procedure, it's still on schedule." Confused and a bit concerned, I followed her to a small office where the woman in the business suit, who I now realized was wearing a hospital administration badge, joined us a few minutes later. "Hospital administrator, thank you for your patience. I'm the patient services director here at Memorial. We have a rather unusual situation that I need to discuss with you." Me, "Is there a problem with my surgery?" Hospital administrator, "No, your surgery is proceeding as planned. The issue is that yesterday, someone checked in claiming to be you. She had what appeared to be copies of your insurance information and new details about your medical history." My stomach dropped. Hospital administrator, "Our receptionist became suspicious when this person couldn't produce a photo ID, claiming she'd lost her wallet. The receptionist made a note in the system, which is why you received that confusing call yesterday. When you arrived today and our receptionist saw your actual ID, she immediately recognized there was a problem." Me, "So that woman in the waiting room." Hospital administrator, "Was attempting to receive your scheduled procedure under your identity, yes. Security is detaining her until police arrive." I felt sick. Someone had tried to steal my identity to get a $30,000 surgery for free and nearly succeeded. Me, "How did she get my information? How did she know about my surgery?" Hospital administrator, "We're investigating that now. We take patient privacy extremely seriously, and this is a major breach. The police will want to speak with you, but we can do that after your procedure if you're comfortable proceeding today." I agreed to continue with the surgery as planned. The staff took extra security measures, checking my ID multiple times throughout the pre-op process. My surgeon even came by personally to verify my identity before the anesthesiologist began. When I woke up in recovery, a police officer was waiting to take my statement. The surgery had gone well, but I was still groggy from the anesthesia. "Officer, we've arrested the woman who attempted to use your identity. Her name is actually on a watch list for medical fraud. She's done this at 3 other hospitals in the state." Me, "How did she get my information?" Officer, "Based on our preliminary investigation, she works as a cleaner for a building that houses several medical billing companies. We believe she accessed files she shouldn't have and has been targeting patients scheduled for expensive procedures with good insurance coverage." It turned out this woman had an extensive history of fraud. She'd previously been convicted of insurance scams and identity theft in another state and had moved here after serving a short sentence. She specifically targeted self-employed people like me, assuming we wouldn't have HR departments or colleagues who might notice medical leave discrepancies. Even more disturbing, if she had successfully received my surgery, not only would I have been left in pain with no immediate recourse, but the procedure would have been documented in my medical records, potentially affecting my future care and insurance rates. The investigation revealed she had an accomplice within a medical billing company who had access to scheduling systems across several hospitals. Together, they had attempted this scheme multiple times, succeeding twice before being caught at Memorial. In the months that followed, I had to deal with credit monitoring, police statements, and even testifying at her trial. The hospital overhauled their patient verification procedures as a result, now requiring photo ID at multiple checkpoints and implementing a biometric verification system for surgical patients. The receptionist who spotted the discrepancy received an award from the hospital and a personal thank you note from me. Her attention to detail and quick thinking had saved me from what could have been a medical and financial disaster. The woman was sentenced to 7 years for fraud, identity theft, and conspiracy. Her accomplice received 5 years and was ordered to pay restitution to the victims. As for me, my back healed well, and I'm mostly pain-free these days, but I'm far more cautious about my personal information. I've learned that in healthcare, identity theft isn't just about money, it can have life-threatening consequences if someone receives medical care under your name and their health information gets mixed with yours. I still get nervous every time I check in at a doctor's office, but I'll forever be grateful to that receptionist whose instincts told her something wasn't right when a stranger tried to claim my identity and my surgery as her own. Story 4. I've lived in my house for about 3 years now. It's nothing fancy, a small 2-bedroom in a quiet neighborhood that I purchased after saving for years. The house came with a short driveway that fits my car perfectly. Nothing about my property stands out. It's just a normal house on a normal street. Last Tuesday, I came home from work to find a silver SUV parked in my driveway. At first, I thought maybe a friend had stopped by unexpectedly, but I didn't recognize the vehicle. I parked on the street and walked up to my house, confused. As I was unlocking my front door, a woman approached from the sidewalk. She looked to be in her 40s, well-dressed, and carrying a shopping bag from the boutique down the street. "Woman, excuse me, are you going to move your car soon? I need to leave." I turned around, completely baffled. "Me, I'm sorry, what?" "Woman, your car. The one parked behind mine. I need to leave now." It took me a moment to process what she was saying. She thought my car was blocking her car in my driveway. "Me, that's my driveway you're parked in. You need to move your vehicle." She laughed as if I'd told a joke. "Woman, very funny. I always park here when I go shopping. It's much closer to the boutiques than the public lot." "Me, I don't know what you're talking about. This is my private property. I live here. This is my house and my driveway." Her smile faded, replaced by an irritated frown. "Woman, look, I've been parking here every Tuesday for months. No one has ever said anything before." I was speechless. Had this woman really been using my driveway as her personal parking spot while I was at work? Me, well, I'm saying something now. This is private property, not public parking. You need to move your car immediately. Woman, you can't just suddenly decide this isn't a parking spot anymore. I have rights. Me, rights to what? My private driveway. That's not how property works. Move your car now, or I'll call a tow truck." Her face turned red. "Woman, you wouldn't dare. I'm not moving. I've always parked here, and I'll continue to park here." I pulled out my phone. "Me, I'm calling a towing company right now." I started dialing, and the woman snatched her own phone from her purse. "Woman, fine, I'm calling the police. You can't just tow people's cars for no reason." "Me, the reason is that you're trespassing on private property." "Woman, we'll see what the police have to say about that." We both made our calls, me to the local towing company and her to the police. The towing company said they'd be there in about 30 minutes. After hanging up, I leaned against my porch railing and waited. The woman stood by her car, arms crossed, occasionally shooting me dirty looks. Neither of us spoke. It was the most awkward standoff I've ever experienced. About 20 minutes later, a police car pulled up. 2 officers got out and approached us. "Officer 1, what seems to be the problem here?" Before I could speak, the woman launched into her version of events. "Woman, this person is threatening to tow my car for no reason. I always park here on Tuesdays to go shopping, and suddenly they're claiming I can't park here anymore." Officer 2, "Ma'am, whose property is this?" "Woman, it's a parking spot. It's always been a parking spot." Officer 1, "That's not what we asked. Is this your property?" Woman, "Well, no, but..." Officer 1, "Sir, is this your property?" Me, "Yes, this is my house. I've lived here for 3 years. This is my private driveway, not a public parking spot." Officer 2, "Do you have proof of residence?" I nodded and pulled out my driver's license, which showed my address. Officer 1, "Ma'am, you're parked on private property without permission. That's trespassing." The woman's mouth fell open. "Woman, but I've been parking here for months. No one ever said anything." Officer 2, "That doesn't make it legal." If the property owner wasn't home or didn't notice, that doesn't give you the right to use their driveway. Woman, this is ridiculous. It's just a driveway. Officer 1, it's private property. You need to move your vehicle now. Woman, I will not. I demand to speak to someone in charge. Officer 2, ma'am, we are the authorities here, and we're telling you to move your vehicle or face a citation for trespassing and illegal parking. She stared at them in disbelief. Woman, you're supposed to be on my side. He's the one threatening me. Officer 1, no, ma'am. He's well within his rights to have your car towed from his property. The officer turned to me. Officer 1, would you like to press trespassing charges? I thought about it for a moment, but decided it wasn't worth the hassle. Me, no, I just want her to move her car and not come back. The woman finally seemed to realize she wasn't going to win this argument. She stomped to her car, muttering under her breath. Before she could get in, the second officer stopped her. Officer 2, ma'am, I still need to write you a citation for illegal parking on private property. Woman, what? You can't be serious. Officer 2, I'm very serious. License and registration, please. Looking like she might explode, she retrieved her documents. The officer wrote her a ticket while his partner spoke to me. Officer 1, if she comes back, call us immediately. We've documented this incident. I thanked them both. As the woman was getting into her car, now with a ticket in hand, I couldn't resist one last comment. Me, just so you know, I work from home on Tuesdays now, so I'll always be here if you're thinking of coming back. She slammed her car door, backed out onto the street, and sped away. The officers nodded to me and left as well. I haven't seen her or her silver SUV since, but I did install a security camera pointing at my driveway just in case she decides that her rights to my property are worth another try.